This episode is sponsored in part by RPM Powersports.
So when companies like RPM Powersports come up with products, there's usually a reason why, and it's because it's needed in the industry. So this is my first turbo machine. And I've heard things when I was doing research about turbo machines that you should probably have a catch can. Well, why? I'm going to show you why. All internal combustion engines have what they call a crank vent or a crank breather. And what it does is it just allows the pressures from the internals of the engine to go somewhere. Basically, what you see here is a hose that comes off of the valve cover. Now, typically, they'd vent out to atmosphere. With emission controls, they have to go back and recycle themselves into the engine and then be burned off again, just to minimize, I guess, environmental damage. Anyway, the way that this one works is there's a crank breather that comes off the valve cover, but it cycles back into the intake right before the turbocharger. Now, if you don't have a RPM blow-off valve, which you should, go to the website and get one of those, by the way, you probably won't see this, but I do. And look, every time this blow-off valve blows off, see that spot right there, that greasy, oily spot? Down by the engine, over the filter cover. What that is the kind of oily air that's coming out of the crank breather back and recycling into the turbocharger and going back inside of the engine. Now, mind you, it's not going to have dirt and stuff like that from the engine. That would be very bad, and you'd have a major problem if that were the case. But what your engine's doing is it's ingesting oily air. So, to me, I don't want that to happen anymore. I didn't think that this would be as big as a problem as it actually is. I don't like that. I don't like having the thought that my engine's ingesting oily air. And again, you wouldn't probably have seen that unless you had a blow-off valve. Now, this has been on here for a while. I got 4,000 kilometers on this machine. So, realistically, I should have had one of these machines outfitted, or my machine outfitted with a catch can right from factory. Didn't think it was going to be a problem. It is a problem, and I'm going to fix it. I'm going to show you what I got. So what I got here is a catch can from RPM Powersports. What it does is it's going to take all of that hot, moist, oily air, capture it inside of this chamber with the ability to be able to drain it off. So it's not going to make a mess over your engine. It's not going to make a mess inside of your engine. It's going to be captured in this little canister here. It's still going to have the ability to breathe. This is not going to suck any air. This is actually just going to vent the crank pressures off into the atmosphere and keep all that crap inside of here. So we're going to be taking the crank breather hose away from the intake on the turbo, cap that off, put that crank breather tube inside of that fitting, and allow it to do its thing. So I'm going to show you the install here. It's going to be very simple, but first, I'm going to be cleaning that crap up. I'm actually going to take that charge tube completely off. I'm going to take my blow-off valve apart. I'm going to clean up all that stuff so it's nice and fresh when everything goes together. Alright, so once we get to this point, I've got my charge tube still off there. You don't have to have your charge tube off. It just makes it easier. It's, it's a couple clamps. Just take it off. Here's the other end of that breather tube, that crank breather tube. So what I got to do is I got to take off that little clamp fitting here. I'm going to pull that off, and what you get with the kit is a little cap. And all that does is there's going to be a nipple on the intake side of the air box where it goes into your turbo. We're going to be eliminating that hole with that cap. It does come with a little zip tie, so just pull that line off, cap it off, zip it off, and then that'll be eliminated. Then we don't got to worry about that at all together. So this little nut on this clamp is going to be a 6 mil, or for my American buddies, 1/4 inch. So we're just going to snap this off, or not snap this off, but take it off. There we go. And actually, I don't know if you can see that inside of there, but that is oily. Like look at that. That's pretty nasty. And that stuff goes back inside of your engine. So, no more. We're not doing that anymore. So from this point, all we really got to do is just kind of tuck this hose underneath. And I'll show you where that catch can is going to go here in a second. But I'm going to get that barb on this cleaned up a little bit. Now when you get your kit, there is a little bit of assembly required. It's not much. So that's the basic unit right there. There's the fitting that's just going to screw onto the side. That barb here is where that hose, I don't know if it's in camera view right now, but there's the hose that we took off, that breather hose. That's just going to slide over here. You don't need to clamp that. It's a triple barb. That's not going to pull off. By the way, this is the aluminum side, or the aluminum finish. You can get this in anodized black as well. I think that's going to look pretty sharp out there, being nice and shiny for the time being until it hits mud. You do have a filter on it. Filter just goes on top, and then you do have a pre-filter on there as well that comes with it too. Where this is going to go is going to be like right here on the frame rail. So if you follow that line right across where that filter is going to be sitting, that would be up to like my neck in water. So just so you're aware, it's high enough. It's not going to be in the way. This is a 64-inch wide machine. It's not going to be flinging up a bunch of crap that's going to hit the machine or hit the catch can. So it's going to be up out of the way. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. All right, so now we're just going to, again, slide that right over top of that barb. And that's a good press fit. I'm not worried about that coming off. So in your kit, you do have a little bit of Loctite that they give you. And that's going to be for that bottom clamp. And those Allen bolts. Those are 5 mil Allen. And again, this stuff's aluminum. Don't crank on it. That's what the Loctite's for. Just get a nice even pressure on both of these Allen bolts. And that is solid in there. Perfect. And it looks good. Now, last thing we got to do is just make sure that this hose up here is not going to be twisted in any way. So we keep this loose again, just to try to find the happy medium. I'd say right about there is where I'll tighten that down, and that way the hose is not rubbing up against anything. So one of the things I didn't mention right off the hop, and I should have, was this is a baffled catch can. So it's got a set of baffles inside of here, so that when that hot, moist air and oil mix comes in, it's actually going to be hitting a set of baffles when it starts to come up through here to vent off. So anything that gets caught inside of here is going to drip down to the bottom instead of coming out the top. So it's not directly coming from here out to here. It's coming, hitting those baffles and then dripping down the bottom, and then it's just all crap's going to be caught down in here. And once I put some miles on, I actually will show you guys what this stuff, or what this can actually catches. In order to drain that, all that is just, you're going to turn that. And inside of here, I can take this all the way out. There's just a little O-ring here, which actually keeps everything sealed. And the drain hole for that, when you start to loosen that off, can go right through here. Now here's the cool thing. This is an updated design. So I'm going to show you something that you also get with your kit. So rather than try to put something in behind here in order to catch it, they give you a little hose now. So that just kind of press fits up inside of here, like that. And then when you're ready to start draining, open it up, put that into a jug, put that into whatever, drain your crap off, pull that hose back off, tighten her back up. Sealed, you're ready for your next run. So that was the very simple install for the RPM side-by-side RPM Powersports catch can. I'm going to see how it's going to work, but from the other videos I've seen out there, they work fantastic. I suggest that if you have a turbo machine, you really look into this kind of stuff, because I drive in a cold climate. I've seen it myself. There's proof right there at the beginning of the video that your engine is just basically puking a bunch of hot, moist vapors, oily vapors inside of your engine, and I don't want that anymore. I'm really hoping that's going to solve the problem. I think it will. So once again, thank you very much, RPM. Thank you guys for joining me on this video. I am going to get out soon. It's actually Christmas Day, so I got to get inside and spend some time with my family here. Anyway, Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see you on the trail. Dry guy out.